Welcome to a brand new episode of The Kickout. It's Monday. You know what that means. It's pay-per-view review time. I'm here, Skillit, the one and only, with my co-host, Mekz. How are you, Mekz?
I'm doing very, very well. Watched NXT Takeover. Looking forward to talking about it with yourself and our special guest.
Yes, we do have a special guest on today who will be joining us any minute now, actually. We're doing things that we used to do back in the day in the Kickout, where we used to have fans of wrestling come on the show and give their thoughts and to give their 2 pence on their opinions on wrestling and how they feel about it. We want to hear the voice of the people who support us and listen to our podcast. And we have a special guest called Paul Smith joining us soon. And he's been an avid listener of the Kickout for a long time. He's always messaging me on direct messages, and we've kind of gotten on throughout the years. And I just thought, you know what, you really know your stuff. You know your stuff about NXT. Let's get you on the show and we can talk about it. So when he's on, I'm sure you guys will like to hear some of his takes. But Mekz, before we talk about him, because he's going to join any minute now, I don't know when he's going to join. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We had a really nice weekend, glorious sun. Apparently this weekend coming may not be the same. I'm hearing rain, but for now, I guess we enjoy it. And that. What about yourself?
Yeah, man, I'm really enjoying the sun right now, and where I've switched job roles, I've got a bit more free time to enjoy the weekends a bit more. So I'm really living it up and enjoying it until they tell us that we have to go back into lockdown, which is probably what's going to happen.
Well, that's what he said this evening. He said it. Well, not that we have to go back in. That what the 21st of June is not happening. I think it's been extended until 19th of July. I think I saw. Right. So how we're living life right now continues. Nothing's closing or anything like that. But anything that's not open right now is just staying shut until 19th of July.
Right.
So nightclubs and stuff.
I'm not surprised at all, to be honest. Yeah. Have you been watching the Euros?
Yes, I saw obviously the shocking scenes for around Christian Eriksen. Very happy to hear that he's all right now. And that was back of his family and stuff. That was scary.
That was scary. I was very upset for him, but I'm glad he's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been a pretty good start to the tournament. The kind of tentative football that you usually see where no one wants to lose is kind of out the window and everyone is kind of really trying, even like the smaller teams. So yeah, it's been good.
And England had a nice little showcase yesterday. England did all right.
Yeah, they did a good job. It's good to see the boys thriving. Hopefully, if they meet one of the other favorites later on in the competition, they can overcome.
Yeah, we'll hope so. I've seen that he's just read the blue tick, so I'm assuming he's going to click on that link and join us in this live stream. Come on, Paul. But we are going to talk about NXT Takeover in your house. Is it a takeover?
It is.
It is a takeover, yeah. Because I just thought maybe it's NXT in your house now. We saw the first ever NXT in your house in 2020. Do you have any memories of that pay-per-view? Anything you can kind of remind me of what happened?
From which one?
The first NXT in your house.
Oh, from last year?
Last year, yeah.
Oh, 1 second. We've got someone that's in our house in a second.
There we go. Oh, thank you for joining us, mate.
No worries.
So, Mekz, this is Paul. This is the guy I was telling you about.
Nice to meet you, Paul.
Hi, Mekz. Good to meet you, man.
He's an avid listener of the Kickout. He supports us daily, so it's about time we support him. And I want to hear his takes on wrestling. Paul, you like to call yourself Penfold?
Yeah, it's an old nickname. You can call me Penfold, you can call me Paul, but my mum only calls me Paul, so it's a bit weird.
When you said that Penfold's an old nickname, are you telling me that people were calling you Penfold back in school?
Yeah, man. Well, Penfold I'm old, so Danger Mouse was kind of, my era.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the face kind of, say no more.
Penfold was my favorite, so it's all good. So
Well, yeah.
And you say you're old, but what's your earliest wrestling memory? What made you a fan? What got you into the business?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking, when did I get into it? And I got into it like 80, 84, 85, like way back. And then my earliest proper memory is, and this is a fairly random niche one, but it's like you've got all the Hulks and you've got the the Ultimate Warrior and all that. But the thing that really hooked me into it was the blue blazer.
As in Owen Hart's original gimmick?
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know it was Owen Hart for years.
Right.
I was such a mark.
Yeah.
It's a great, he's a luchador. He's fantastic. He does all the flips. I've never seen anyone do any of that stuff. It was amazing. And then, I was so into it from him. I just remember going around to a mate's house who had this, again, this dates me. He was the rich kid who had everything.
Yeah.
So he had a Betamax.
Right.
And he had a VHS.
Right.
And then he was the first one to get Sky. So therefore he's everybody's mate. Yeah. And so he was the one where you got hold of the videos so you could watch them. You could watch when it came to Sky. He was the one where you went round to watch the pay-per-views. It was all of that, and I had none of that. So it was basically his. I think one of them. I think Blue Blazer was Survivor Series. I think.
Yes,
88.
Yes, it was.
And then he wrestled Mr. Perfect in 89.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was it. I was done. I didn't need to see it. Didn't need to see Owen Hart. I was quite happy with the Blue Blazer.
That's interesting because I would say there's a generation of wrestling fans who would probably only remember Blue Blazer for like a jokey kind of gimmick. They don't really remember it. But this is Owen's official WWF debut before he.
No, go back and watch it. Watch that Mr. Perfect Blue Blazer match.
Great matches.
Great match.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Owen was something else, man. Rest in peace, Owen Hart. He was something else. Okay, that's interesting. I never expected to say Blue Blazer was the first memory of wrestling that you have, but okay.
Every single, I know, like you get into your proper rants. I heard last week's where like the whole Brett HBK thing kicked. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting involved. But I love both of them. But
me too. I do too. I don't want to get into. I love Sean.
I don't.
So
Mekz doesn't like Brett. But
I can acknowledge. Okay, I never saw Brett live in his prime. Fair enough. Everything I've watched of Brett was back. But for me, he just seems like a very miserable person, and I can't get on board with him because nothing seems like he made him happy. That's maybe watching it in hindsight and stories you hear of him and around him. So for me, I've just always kind of been cold on him. I can accept he was brilliant in the ring, but everything else about buying into Brett, there's just negative energy, like a dark cloud that's over him with me, and I can't.
There was one thing I wish I said last week that I didn't say that I thought about it today.
Which was
when Ace came with that ridiculous notion that Sean is better than Brett because Brett was born into the business, his family was in the business, Stu Hart's in the business, whatever, right? So what does that mean? That someone could say The Rock is not the greatest talker of all time because his dad is in the business, his granddad's in the business. How does that? None of that made sense to me.
There's an argument there, but it's not a fully fledged. That's not like you can't put a whole argument based on it. But there's definitely an argument that with your family experience, you should know how to navigate the business in certain aspects better. Of course, you can't say it doesn't count for anything.
But David Flair exists, and he was never good.
It makes it easier to get into the business, but once you're in the business, then it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Exactly.
No, I agree. But then at the same time, remember once the lights turn off inside the whole machine, you can go home and practice with people that know the business as well, rather than going home to just regular mum and dad. So, I mean, it's all fair arguments. The Brett and Sean argument will go on for years to come. Still, like there's still chapters of it.
Paul, who do you think is better?
Oh, don't do that to me. But
be careful now, Paul.
The whole Brett
coming
thing,
back on the show.
Brett was just serious. He's not miserable. He's serious. He takes everything.
Maybe that's what it is.
And he probably takes it too seriously. But
maybe that's
I mean, you look at this. Oh yeah, I mean, you go down the whole screw job and all that. But I mean, HBK was brilliant. He's still in. The thing is, HBK's still there now. You look at Takeover. You've still got. He's still there. He's still in the background. You've still got Johnny Gargano's doing tributes to him, and he's
brilliant.
still in the present mind. Bret Hart's you know, because he got so hacked off with it all, understandably, and then you've got the death of his brother. You know, it's a lot.
It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain.
So I'm sitting completely on the fence.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we're here. Yeah, sorry, go on. What, you going to say anything else, Paul?
I'll say Mick Foley. There you go. That's it.
I like that. One of the greats. You know what's funny? Because they're going to review In Your House. Every time I think of In Your House, Mankind is one of the first people that pops up to my mind. Like Mankind. I think of Mankind. I think of Owen. I think of
Shawn Michaels is mine.
Shawn. Yeah, definitely think of Shawn. I think of Brett, of course, Bulldog. There's a few names that pop straight into my head, but Mankind is in the top of the list. Like when I think of In Your House. Before we talk about NXT In Your House, Paul, do you have any favorite In Your House moments throughout the years growing up watching wrestling?
Do you know what? I thought about this, and I hardly watched any In Your House before. I know the names. Like you can tell me the names of things, you know, Bad Blood and all that, but I never actually watched any of them ever. I've gone back and watched them now on the network, but I never watched any at the time. It's like 1995, isn't it?
Yeah, 95, 96 time. Yeah, I think it was 95 till like 97, 98.
Yeah, but and that was the point when like WWE was as it was then was struggling.
Yeah,
and I think I just dipped out at that point. So I've got
But did you dip onto Nitro? Did you ever watch WCW when that was good? Nah, so you missed out.
Not really. No, I was pure WWF all the way. And you had the others like, you know, when you're at school or whatever, and then through uni, and you had those guys, and it's the same now. You've got those guys nuts on AEW, and you go on Twitter and say anything like it goes either way, Twitter's and that's ridiculous. It. You just duck and cover. It's stupid, and it was a bit like that then. It's cyclical, isn't it? It's just come around again.
Yeah, no, it's come full circle for sure. It has.
It's no different. But yeah, I mean, I when you see the tributes on the stuff now, you recognize them. But even then, I'm still having to go back and look them up and see. You know, I know the images. I know HBK swinging, you know, through the house and this, that, and the other. I know, you know, the Buried Alive stuff and all that. But yeah, in terms of actually watching them, I've got no memories of them at all.
I've got some real fun memories, man. Like Triple H, I think Triple H versus Duke the Dumpster Drozy was an In Your House match. The Hog Pen match, with Henry or Godwin, that was a In Your House match. Obviously, Brett versus Hakushi, Bulldog versus Brett, Beware Dog, Mankind versus Shawn. This is just the top of my head. I'm trying to think of some more. There's quite a few more. Oh, I remember. I think this was an In Your House match. Wasn't there Shamrock? Was it Shamrock Rock and Mankind in a match? A triple threat match? In the steel cage match? That was a classic, man.
I can't remember if that was In Your House. I know the match you're talking about.
In Your House?
I can't remember the pay-per-view.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't In Your House. I thought it was. Maybe it wasn't. And obviously the Savio Vega Austin feud, a bunch of In Your House matches. Yeah, some good times, man. Anyway, Mekz, do you want to run down the events of what happened last night at NXT Takeover In Your House, please?
Yeah, so we'll start with the opening match. We had MSK and Bronson Reed, that's the tag team champion and the North American champion, defending all the titles against Legado del Fantasma. I've never seen a kind of 6-man tag like this where, you know, all belts are just kind of transition. Didn't think that would ever be the case because really Bronson Reed has just kind of won that North America Championship within the last 3 weeks or so. So I thought it would be a bit too early. But this match was good. It was a fun match. Obviously, it's a bunch of high flyers and then a massive guy that can do the odd high flying move here and there. So we got a lot of that kind of action in and out of the ring. I guess one of the big spots of the night was Santos Escobar getting squashed again through the fence. Well, not onto the fence this time like he did last time, but through the fence. And then MSK done their finishing move. Bronson Reed went up top, dropped the tsunami on Raul Mendoza, and those guys retained their championship. So a decent opener.
I love this match. Before I talk about this match, I just want to give a shout out to Todd Pettingill for showing back up, coming back home. What a legend. They even showed a little reference to Doc Hendricks, Michael Hayes in the beginning.
Yeah.
There was the two hosts. I love that they did the classic, the World Wrestling Federation, the revolutionary sports and sports. So
they done that last year and it blew my mind. I was laughing for so long.
Yeah, so there's some really good references. Oh yeah, they did do that last year. I forgot about that. They did, and Todd Pettingill was in last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So they did bring him back, but yeah, it was good to have these references. In regard to this match, I've always been a fan of Raul Mendoza. I think he's
underrated,
special. And I felt him and Bronson stole the show in these matches. In the first match, I think I wasn't really a big fan of Bronson Reed. Is Bronson Reed?
Yeah.
I wasn't really a big fan of his work before, but he's really grown on me. And for a big guy, he's very agile. Very, he reminds a bit like Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah. He does the cartwheels like Bam Bam Bigelow, and he's got that earthquake about him as well.
Yeah, there's a little bit of earthquake. Yeah, for sure. I think he did. Did he not? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he not come out to the ring like dressed as Bigelow one time? Like he had an outfit playing homage to Bigelow. Yeah. So yeah,
I like how they're kind of really protecting and booking the tsunami as the finisher. That the top rope splash. And obviously, if a man that size lands on you, the chances are you're not getting up. So I hope they keep that up because that could kind of, really help shoot him further up the card when, the North American run is all said and done.
And I think that needs to be, I think they need to do it across the board. Yes, there's some moves where people should kick out of today because, wrestling has evolved.
Yeah.
But it has come to a place where everybody's kicking out of everything now. You know what I mean? Like finishing moves are no longer special. So yes, absolutely right. Spot on with the Bronson finisher. Definitely protect that. But I think they need to look at that in general and start saying, okay, what moves is it where you're done? I think the only move that was protected for a long time is the F5, I think, by Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, for quite a while. Until Roman kicked out of 6 at WrestleMania.
Oh, freaking hell, man. And they wonder why people hate him.
That is my head of the table. I don't care. He could kick out of them.
No.
Yes.
No. I do like Reigns, but no. Paul, what did you think of this match? What any takes and anyone out of these competitors that you're really enjoying? Any of these workers that you're really enjoying?
I think they're all amazing in the ring. There's but the one that stands out of the ring as well is Escobar. I love Escobar, man.
That's the one.
So good. It's I don't know if you saw the the pre-show. They had sit-down interviews with each of the 3
teams.
And Escobar just stands. He's like the sort of lucha version of Reigns. The way he speaks, it's quiet. It's not rushed. He's menacing. He leads the other 2 because the other 2 they're all right on the mic. Mendoza's not great, but he's fantastic in the ring. Joaquin Wild's fantastic in the ring. Escobar's got it all.
For sure.
As far as I'm concerned, just stick him in the main title picture. I think he's brilliant.
This is their Latino guy that can speak English and speak just in general very well. They have it all with Escobar. They shouldn't mess it up.
And I could be wrong here by saying this because I don't know this for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if when Andrade was kind of raising his grievances about where he is in the position and he's like, and obviously I know they first declined his ask for release. When he asked for his release, they first said no. He was told no. But I think they probably thought about it afterwards and was like, well, we've got Escobar. And I know it's not a case of it being one Latino in, one Latino out. I'm not talking about it like that. But I do feel like I love Andrade. As everybody knows, Andrade is one of my favorite wrestlers. And it's well documented that I love Andrade. But obviously, I always felt his lack of English did hold him back. With Escobar, they don't have that problem. So I feel like they can just be like, well, we could push Escobar to the moon with NXT and then that he could be the, the face of Latino wrestling for the WWE. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
bro. He was cruiserweight champion facing Karrion Kross just before Karrion Kross became champion.
Exactly.
They've already, they've got the foresight for where they want to put this guy eventually. So.
And they're gonna get over in the main roster. Look, that's 3 good-looking lads as well. The women are gonna love them when they go to that main roster. They have sex appeal. They're great workers. He's great on the mic. Like it's gonna work. They're gonna work.
They'll put him on the main roster and stick a mask back on him. That's what they'll do, because that's what happens when everybody leaves NXT. It all goes wrong.
Yeah.
Just no one can't take anybody.
Very true as well, Paul. That's very true as well.
As an NXT mark, you can't take anyone from NXT. So we just want to keep them all there, because you put them on Raw and it all goes.
Who has worked?
The women.
Drew McIntyre. The woman.
Yeah.
McIntyre wasn't really NXT though.
He's a bit of a cheat code, yes, but I guess he has worked.
I would say like Sasha, Charlotte,
Bailey.
Kevin
Owens when he came up. Like if you remember the debut when he walked out to Cena,
fantastic.
And brought the NXT. That was hot.
He was red hot. Even when he won the Universal title, like they really could have done more with that. They really could have done more with that because he was red hot.
Well, that's when they done him and Jericho dirty. Remember they had the whole festival of friendship and then didn't even leave them with the Universal title to go on to WrestleMania, squashed him for Goldberg, and
that's when it went wrong, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the second match, my friend?
So the next match on the card was
Xia Li, wasn't it?
Yes, Xia Li versus Mercedes Martinez. So this was the match that they were building as 4 years in the making, where Mercedes Martinez had beaten Xia Li in the Mae Young Classic. Xia Li, that brought disgrace upon her family, so on and so forth. And obviously we've got this kind of new reborn Xia Li under Tian Sha now. Really good entrance. Love Xia Li's entrance every time I see it. Came out, she had this battle with Mercedes Martinez. This was short compared to a usual takeover match, which is usually kind of 15-20 minutes plus. This was like 7 minutes or so, but I think we were all probably waiting for what happened at the end, which was why this match made the takeover card. But yeah, a lot of action in and outside the ring. At one point Boa tried to get involved, wasn't successful. Martinez battled him off. They got back into the ring, and then we saw Xia Li hit Martinez with like this spinning kick, which I'm not sure I've seen her before. I know she used a lot of offense with her feet, but yeah, Martinez sold it well, knocked her out, got the pin over Martinez, and then Xia Li went to get a chair from Boa to continue the beat down on Martinez. Martinez got up, used the chair against Xia Li and Boa, which made Mei Ying, the mysterious figure in the throne, get up and have a stare down with Martinez, which they eventually stepped to each other. Martinez went to kind of attack Mei Ying. Mei Ying grabbed her by the throat and proceeded to kind of throw her in and around the ring area. So maybe we're seeing Mei Ying kind of get involved with the in-ring kind of stuff with Xia Li and Boa now. But pretty decent match, just didn't last very long. But yeah.
Very happy for Xia Li. I've seen her progress since the Mae Young Classic. Why are you laughing, Mekz?
Because that's your girlfriend.
No, it's a good friend of, she's a good friend of mine. I will say that. But I'm very happy for her. And I was very excited that she's finally getting to pay-per-view debut. She needs a bit more work, though.
Xia Li?
I feel so. Yeah.
In what way?
I don't know. She wasn't bad. It wasn't.
You destroyed a friendship now, yeah?
No, I'm just. Obviously, she's working hard and she's not bad at all. She's not bad at all. She's not. I just feel like it felt to me when she did that spin kick that she was she got winded after that. When she did that kick onto Mercedes, and maybe it was the way she landed.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that was the finish, because it didn't seem to have been like wow, like by the commentators. There was no name for it. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I said, Martinez sold it well. Then it stopped. Yeah, pinned her. And it was over. Like so.
But she looked amazing, and I love the entrance. I love this faction. I love it. This mystery woman with Mia Ying. Was it
Mei Ling.
Mei Ling.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's it's Karen Q, right?
Yes.
So she can go. She can go in the ring.
Yes, definitely.
She got in. Did she come to WWE before? Did she get in?
So I believe she was in the Performance Center, or maybe she was on one of those Mae Young Classics, and she did get injured, and this is her coming back. So she's been on the roster for a while.
So that's good, and like it's building up, and they're making her like a really dark force. I know it's very 90s what I'm watching with her and that whole like, it reminds me a bit. Go on.
So have you seen, because everybody bangs on about it being like Mortal Kombat and all that. There was a series on Sky now something called Warrior, which is like an old Bruce Lee script from back in the 70s, and they made that into 2 series. It's just that all over. It's Chinese immigrants coming over to build San Francisco back in the 18th, 19th century, but with all these factions that have come over. They're just one of those factions.
Right.
Watch it and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, it's got so many influences from that, like that mark on the wrist and the hand and all the graphics and stuff. They do it really well. In terms of, I'd love to see it on a bigger, like get them back, like a proper takeover. They made such a big deal of the fact that they were packing out the CWC, but there were only 300 fans there. I looked it up. It's like, how many are there? It doesn't sound like many.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. But it's like you look at Daly's place and it's putting 1,500 in. Yeah. And even Full Sail had 1,500 as well.
Full Sail, did he have up to 1,500?
Yeah, I checked because I wasn't sure, because I started looking back at some old takeovers.
Because this is Full Sail. This is Full Sail, isn't it? They just redone it. Yeah, I think it's the same place. They just called it the CWC, and obviously they've made it look more like a WWE look sort of thing. Yeah. I think it's the same building. So maybe that's what's made the capacity smaller.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure it's the same place.
They either need to get more in or get those people who are in a bit more hyped up, because at the beginning they were dead.
Yeah.
I feel like the bulletproof glass casing kind of drowns out some of the noise as well. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah, maybe I am being a bit harsh as I am. I'm very happy for her, and I'm loving this new faction, and she looked great, and I'm loving the braids with the sword.
Yeah, that was a good look. Yeah,
I wish she used the sword. I wanted to use the sword.
That's maybe what she should have used instead of the steel chair after the match.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting where Martinez goes, because she's been rumored to actually be Eva Marie's muscle, with Eva Marie returning to the main roster tonight on Raw. It was either gonna be Mercedes Martinez or Piper Niven from NXT UK. Yeah. So I guess we'll see on Raw if Eva Marie does turn up today as she's supposed to.
So Eva Marie's she's coming back as an active wrestler then?
Apparently not. Apparently she's coming back as some type of supporting role for a wrestler. That was the first thing that was reported. And then last week it was reported that she's coming back with some muscle. Either Martinez or...
I think it would be genius to do the muscle movement, because obviously she's not really great in the ring. She might have improved. She might have improved since she last wrestled for WWE. I don't know. She might be much better now. But if she's still not a great worker, I think it'd be genius for her to just be really shit in the ring, get beaten up left out center, and then the muscle is the reason why she wins the matches. And the muscle is the reason why she becomes the champion. I think it would get a lot of heat.
Yeah,
I think that'd be genius. And you know what? It's funny. I think I predicted that's what I said that's what they should have done in Gorilla Position back in 2015 or 16. I think that's what I said. I said that they should do that with Eva Marie and make Nia Jax the muscle.
The muscle.
That's what I said back then.
So they should still do that now. Just
for sure. They still should do that now. Yeah, for sure.
But Martinez doesn't get. I don't really know what her role is in NXT. She gets booked to make other people look strong. She's not that veteran.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Been there that long.
Yeah. She hasn't been in WWE for that long, but she has wrestled for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean in NXT.
Yeah. Oh, NXT. No.
Yeah, they've brought her in for like Mae Young Classic, enhancement matches here and there for like the past 10 years now, 5-10 years. But yeah, she's only kind of just signed now, and I still think she's probably is playing some type of player coach kind of role, mentor to the younger ladies, and putting them over, like you say.
If you get called to the main roster, your money goes up, right?
That was what was happening before. I'm sure it still happens now, but apparently the gulf is not that big because obviously there's big indie stars in NXT now. So
but I was thinking because of TV licensing and things like that. But then again, NXT's TV license as well, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why the Gulf has closed. But I'm sure it's
yeah, that's right. So it would have made more sense before because there wasn't much. It was on it was on the network only, wasn't it? Yeah. That's why people were crying before. Nobody cares anymore.
That's why people want to stay at NXT.
Yeah.
They don't want to see their career get destroyed, man.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Okay. Yeah, interesting stuff. Let's see what happens with the whole Xia Li faction thing. Pretty cool. Mekz, what was next, my friend?
So next match we had Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight. This was the $1 million championship ladder match. This was the match that had probably had one of the better builds going into it. Obviously, Cameron Grimes and his newfound I was about to say fame, but I guess it's fortune. And then LA Knight, who kind of presents himself that way, but admittedly, he said himself, I'm not rich, I'm not a millionaire. One of these guys was going to continue on Ted DiBiase's legacy. Really brutal kind of ladder match. This, they didn't kind of fall off ladders or anything like that so much. There was some of those kind of spots, but it was more like falling onto ladders and using ladders as weapons, which was pretty gnarly at times for these guys. We saw Cameron Grimes take a big jump off that scaffolding thing inside the arena onto LA Knight. There was the point I think it was towards the finish where Cameron Grimes went and got the big gold ladder rather than the other little ones that was around, and he climbed up that and what's his face? LA Knight tipped over the ladder. He fell onto 2 ladders outside the arena, and LA Knight just kind of climbed up, sauntered up, unhooked the briefcase which had the $1 million belt inside. Came down. Ted DiBiase opened the briefcase for him and gave him the championship. I thought it was a really good match. It was fun. One thing I felt was missing was that Cameron Grimes was the face in this. LA Knight is the heel. But I didn't feel that there was any kind of dastardly behavior from LA Knight to really kind of exaggerate the fact he's the heel and that now he's the $1 million champion. I felt like maybe, I don't know, for instance, Ted DiBiase could have turned and kind of been in LA Knight's corner all along, sending his security to kind of hold Cameron Grimes back, or I don't know. I just felt like by the end of it, you didn't feel sympathy for Cameron Grimes not winning it. It was just kind of, oh, well, either one of these guys, okay, this guy won it, okay. And it's like, do you see what I mean?
Is Cameron Grimes officially a face, though? Or are you just assuming?
More or less, yeah. He's turned in the last couple of weeks.
Paul, what do you think?
I was absolutely convinced Grimes was winning this all the way through until even at the point where Knight's standing at the top unhooking the thing. I'm like, well, something's going to happen. Yeah. DiBiase's going to get involved. What? And then he just... I know the build's been really good, and the other matches like before, there's been no build. They've just created a build in 2 weeks, like the thing with Martinez and Xia Li. They've just brought that up suddenly. But this one had a build. DiBiase, I'm not convinced about DiBiase being back in the.
I think this is it, though. I don't think we'll see him again beyond.
But. Yeah, I just assumed because Grimes is over. Everybody, Grimes he's got the character down. He's annoying as hell. He's playing into real life. He's made his fortune through stocks and whatever. The crowd love him. And LA Knight's only been with the company a month or two.
Yeah, but
does he need it?
Realistically,
why they've given it to him?
No, but realistically, out of the two, who do you? No offense to Cameron Grimes, right? Mm-hmm. He's good. He is really good. I'm not saying that he's not. But out of the two, I could see LA Knight being the star over Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, both of them, I personally think, are main roster guys. Just character-wise, they're main roster guys. But what I feel, and it's a good thing what Paul brought up, because I think that's why LA Knight, for me, was always going to win, because they've had this build. And because Grimes has just turned face in the last 2 weeks, let the heel win, while his face kind of grows, a bit more as he becomes more of a baby face, then he will eventually beat LA Knight for it, which I think is going to happen. But like I said, they could have garnered something that, would have helped towards that in this match. Like if Ted would have turned and sent his security guards to hold back Cameron Grimes or something, then it's like a bit more, I feel sorry for Cameron Grimes, or I hate LA Knight. You see what I mean? It's just a bit more of something.
Someone's on my doorbell. You guys keep talking.
But that for me, that's what was missing. Just a bit more drawing emotion for either one side or the other out of this match.
Yeah, I don't feel anything. LA Knight's only just come in, and I just don't get what his character is yet. And he's suddenly been like parachuted into this kind of you know when they did the vignettes last week, and it was just like the two of them trading off about who deserves to be the $1 million. Yeah, they're just. It was literally the same vignette.
Two different guys. Yeah,
it was just two different guys. Like two different people in a swimming pool, one hairier than the other. That's all it was.
Yeah, literally.
So they've given Knight the same character as Grimes. There's no difference, except Grimes does it better.
Yeah, LA Knight is just like a polished looking version of who you would think the modern $1 million man would look like. Yeah. While Cameron Grimes is like the guy that's almost fluked his way to that kind of wealth. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Skillit?
So obviously I haven't been following this feud as closely as Paul or yourself, Mekz. But from watching Takeover, I would say that because when I first heard that DiBiase was helping out NXT talent, right, I was a bit like, oh my god, what are they doing? But I would say I feel DiBiase has added to this feud.
100%.
I think DiBiase has made this very entertaining, helping Grimes and LA Knight get this feud over. I personally would have sided DiBiase with Grimes personally, because I feel everybody knows LA Knight's a great talker, right? He's a really good talker. So he doesn't need a manager. I'm not saying Grimes necessarily needs a manager, but with that gimmick, with the whole gimmick of being a millionaire, the best ever millionaire gimmick WWE's ever done is Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, right? So to give Grimes a little bit of rub of that $1 Million Man magic, I think that would work personally. That's what I was kind of looking forward to, but I don't know. So I still feel they shouldn't get rid of DiBiase. I think DiBiase should still be very much part of whatever's going to happen in the future, and I would put DiBiase with Grimes. One thing I will say about the $1 Million belt, that belt has never worked with anyone apart from the $1 Million Man. They tried it on Virgil. That didn't work.
Austin. Didn't they put it on Austin?
They put it on Steve Austin.
Yeah. And they retired it.
Exactly. That did not work. So now this is the final chance where they could finally probably make it work on somebody else. It might work on LA Knight. LA Knight might carry it. I honestly felt if they put it on Grimes, they could have probably done something with that.
I agree. That's why I think they should have put it on Grimes, because I think he's got more to him. I think he can do more with it. I don't know what he'd do with it, but I think he'd do more with it than LA Knight. But like you said, they're both great talkers.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna come, guys. I think it's definitely the fact, like you said, this guy's just become a babyface. They're gonna need some more kind of sympathy on him before he gets that big win and what he's chasing, sort of thing. And then we'll see all the kind of comedic sketches and everything you guys are saying with Grimes and the belt. They just want us to wait a bit longer for it.
I did think there was a good touch that the belt was in a confined, safe kind of case. Yeah. And he had those typical police SWAT men that takes care of like big money,
NXT Performance Center.
Yeah, of course. But I felt that was a good touch.
It's a nice touch, definitely.
Over just a belt hanging and you're grabbing it, and it's giving that belt pristine. And a lot of people 100%. Who would not know who DiBiase is back in his heyday would be like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's still the same belt as well. It hasn't changed at all.
Same belt, which I love. Amazing. Yeah. So. All right, I enjoyed that. And what was next again?
We had the women's championship match. It was Raquel Gonzalez defending the NXT Women's Championship with Ember Moon. Raquel Gonzalez comes to the ring with her well, at this point, it's her sidekick, Dakota Kai. And starts off a pretty good match. Ember Moon is kind of out here after the belt, of course, but avenging what Raquel Gonzalez did to her tag team partner, Shotzi Blackheart. pretty early on, Dakota Kai is already kind of getting involved here and there, trying to get involved in the match. We saw Raquel Gonzalez, some of her moveset has kind of evolved past just, the regular powerhouse sort of stuff. At one point, she done, well, I say that, but she brought back a sidewalk slam. And I was thinking to myself earlier when I watched this, I haven't seen someone do a sidewalk slam for absolute years, maybe like early 2000s. So good to see that. And then she done some type of twisting Vader bomb when Ember Moon was in the corner as well to follow up the sidewalk slam, which I thought was pretty impressive. So good to see like she's kind of evolving and learning a bit more as champion. Again, Ember Moon kind of fought her way into it. At one point, she got into a submission, got Raquel Gonzalez into submission. We saw Dakota Kai pushing the ropes towards Raquel Gonzalez to reach the ropes, which she did. And then the last straw was Ember Moon delivering the Eclipse to Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel Gonzalez landed by the ropes. Dakota Kai flipped Raquel Gonzalez's leg onto the ropes. And then that was it. It brought out Shotzi Blackheart, who we haven't seen since maybe 3-4 weeks now from when Raquel Gonzalez kind of writ her off TV, so to speak. And she chased Dakota Kai out of the arena. We saw Ember Moon give Raquel Gonzalez a DDT to the outside. And then it was brilliantly sold by Raquel Gonzalez, and obviously very hard, being a very big lady that she is, to pull her back into the ring. So Ember Moon struggled. By the time she didn't get the 3 count. Raquel Gonzalez eventually fought her way back into the match, given like a snake eyes into the corner, then picked her up for that kind of one-handed power bomb that she does, laid out Ember Moon and retained the championship.
Ember Moon did a great job making it look like $1 million.
100.
I think this is what they need to do. This pair Raquel Gonzalez is not a bad worker, don't get me wrong, but just pair her up with like really established workers. So like, the Ember Moons, the Candice LeRays. Who else at NXT is there's quite a few, right?
Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely give her more of the experienced workers to kind of, mold her craft, and they can carry the match, so to speak. And like I said, it's good to kind of see her repertoire evolving. But I mean, there's something I was gonna say. I'll leave it to the main event. But yeah, I'm happy with what she's done so far as champion.
Well, yourself, Paul, what do you think about Raquel Gonzalez?
She's getting there. She struggles because she's come straight in after Rhea Ripley, and she's not Rhea Ripley. That's the problem. And she's another like big powerhouse wrestler. But she's her own woman. She's good. She's really good. She's not the greatest talker in the world yet.
No.
She suffers a bit from that Nia Jax thing of being a really big powerhouse and having a really kind of small voice.
Do
you know what I mean? Nia Jax has got the same thing where she's like, big powerhouse, then she speaks and you go, no. But I mean, yeah, she's if you put her in the ring with the right people, she comes across brilliant. Ember Moon's a good person to because Ember Moon's got the best finisher in NXT as far if the Eclipse gets hit, it looks amazing if they sell it right. And she sold it brilliantly. It was really good. I enjoyed the match. I'm not sure who else. Yeah, like you say, you put it with Candice LeRae. I'm assuming they're going to break up Dakota Kai, and that'll be the next place they'll go. So they'll have those two warring against each other. Then Shotzi will get involved.
Yeah,
and that's where I see it going. But yeah,
Frankie Monet. I think Frankie Monet is probably going to dabble in the championship picture before too late. Why, Paul? You're not too happy?
Not sold. I've only seen her once, and I don't know I don't know anything about her. I don't know her background or anything. But I just
Skillit,
don't like
you know Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie.
Oh, she's in NXT.
Yeah, she signed. She signed maybe about. She signed in like February, but she debuted after Stand and Deliver, and then she had her first match last week, I think it was.
Okay, so she's now showed up in NXT now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, she's a good worker.
Yeah, she's good. She was a previous Knockouts champion. I think they can put her with Dakota as well. I'm sorry.
I think it's her gimmick that I just can't stand, but maybe I'm not meant to like it.
That is exactly it. It's the whole bougie kind of, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's the dog, man.
There was some controversy online with Raquel Gonzalez saying that she's the first Latina women's
So I watched this press conference. I watched this press conference that they do, and these are pretty good. They're doing like, remember like New Japan used to do those press conferences before like big matches. They're trying to emulate something like that. So I'm not quite sure I actually heard Raquel Gonzalez say this. I think WWE have put this in as a quote, but I can't find any evidence that she actually said this, that she's the first and best WWE Latina women's champion. And obviously Bailey is of Latina heritage, Nikki Bella is of Latina heritage, and some other women as well. Melina, yeah. So it's like, how can she say that? But like, did she actually say that is the question that's being bandied around. But yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. A lot of people were upset about that.
I watched the press conference. And I didn't hear that myself. Unless I missed it. But yeah.
Before we talked about the main event, there was a backstage promo where Todd Petticoat was doing some funny stuff with like VHS footage, videos. He did a what was that, Karate Fighters thing? Did you ever play that back in the 90s?
No. Do you know what? I saw that. Never seen that before in my life.
I've seen it. I never played it. I was like, it looks trash back then, and it looked trash now. But he was playing that with, what's that man's name again?
Dexter Lumis.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to get put in the main picture soon. Or he's going to get put in a picture at some point. Yeah.
I wanted to hear your thoughts, because are you, first and foremost, Paul, are you a fan of Dexter Lumis? And B, were you a fan of Todd Pettingill making a joke with Dexter Lumis? Are you a fan of Dexter Lumis even playing this game, first and foremost, with Todd Pettingill, for then Todd Pettingill to say, "Oh, what's the women like? What's women life like in your?" And then he's like looking down, upset. Like, it's obviously they've kind of turned him into a bit of a comedy act. Well, in this segment they have. I'm not saying they have completely, but is comedy acts what you want to see from a Dexter Lumis, or did you want to keep him as a sinister, mean kind of character?
They keep pushing him that way though. They're doing it all the time. Like every single actual story that Lumis has been involved in has got comedy involved in it. Like right back to where he kidnapped Cameron Grimes. If a kidnapping can ever be funny, I'm not really sure. And then there's the bit now we've got where he's in love with
Indy Hartwell.
I've got her name, Indy Hartwell from The Way. So they've not actually booked it. They only at the very beginning do they bring him in and go, "This guy's odd, and you don't want to mess with him." From then on, it's been, "This guy's odd and draws."
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've got to bring reality into it. Yes, he can draw well, but it's a weird thing to put into like.
The problem with Lumis, is that his character is basically serial killer. But it's like, how can he be a serial killer on this PG product? You see what I mean? So it's like, and then where people are like a bit more evolved in their character, for instance, like Karrion Kross, he has kind of, it's like a hitman assassin-ish kind of gimmick or something like that. But like, how do we now portray serial killer in a PG way? Like, I don't know.
Go comedy apparently.
And this is the thing. Yeah. I said after Halloween Havoc, when he had that match with Cameron Grimes in the Haunted House, this has to be his ceiling. Like, he must just be someone we pull out every year for Halloween, because in and around the place, where does he really fit in? They're gonna start doing comedy stuff with him if they can't fit him in elsewhere.
Yeah, interesting.
If you book him, I suppose Cross has got that kind of niche taken. If you book him that strong, that you can only book him against Cross, and then one of them has to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I don't know how else you book a comedy serial killer
that draws.
That draws, yeah.
This is it's crazy. All right, okay, it's interesting to see. I don't know how I feel about Dexter Lumis. I've never really taken
neither do I. I don't know how I feel about him anymore.
He's always around the periphery though, isn't he? He's never really involved in the main picture anywhere.
I think they had sights for him to be North American champion, and he got injured before. You guys remember there was a last ladder match for the North American Championship sometime last year. I can't remember what pay-per-view, what NXT pay-per-view it was, but he was supposed to be in that, and I think he done something to his foot, maybe broken his toe or broke his foot or something like that, and he got taken out of the match. Yeah. He got taken out of the match. I think he was meant to become a North American champion at that pay-per-view in that ladder match. So I think they rate him somewhat, but it's just where is he really going to fit in the grand scheme of things?
Speaking of the way, because it was referenced earlier, they did a tribute to the Click. Did you see their ring attire?
Yeah.
So
really well,
Gargano was Shawn Michaels. Candice LeRae was 1-2-3 Kid, I believe.
Yeah.
What's my man's name again?
Really Austin Theory was
Austin Theory was Diesel.
Theory.
And what's the name of the chick? The lady?
Indy Hartwell.
Indy Hartwell.
She was Razor Ramon. And the dog they carried with them was Triple H. It's onto herself.
There was a picture where Triple H and Shawn Michaels joined them in their poses as well.
Oh, really? Okay, I need to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about the main event. Speaking of ring attires as well, Pete Dunne's all white.
England kit.
He's England kit.
England kit, yeah, nice.
Was that supposed to be an England kit? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was
That's
England
what Wade
kit.
Barrett said, yeah.
If you look at the back, when he walked on, he's got like the blue bear badge with the red on it as well.
Ah, yes, I did see that. Definitely. Yeah. Big up Pete Dunne, because that was a really nice ring attire to pull that off as well. It was pretty cool. So Pete Dunne, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly,
Gargano.
And Karrion Kross for the NXT title in a fatal 5-way match. I really enjoyed this match. This is actually good fun.
I did think it was a good match. It's funny because obviously when the match started, all 4 men were in the ring, just basically looking at Karrion Kross after he'd finished all his mad poses and all of that kind of stuff that he does, the theatrics. And it's just a callback to, they've all made fun of him being all these, bells and whistles and all entrance and stuff like that. And then it's like the entrance finishes and all these guys are just standing in the ring, no selling it completely. But this match was good, like Skillit said, but I felt there was a lot of like, Karrion Kross beats up everyone, then he gets taken out, and then the 4 real technicians go to work, and then Karrion Kross works his way back into the match, beats up everyone, suplex, gets taken out, and then the 4 real technicians go back to work. It was that kind of pattern until we got towards the finish, where Kyle O'Reilly obviously had his hands on Adam Cole, had him in a submission move. I guess through his hatred for Adam Cole, he didn't want to let go of him while he had him in a submission, thinking he was going to make Adam Cole tap out, even when he found himself in trouble, being locked in that straight jacket hold that Karrion Kross does. And eventually he kind of started foaming at the mouth, which I thought was really well sold by Kyle O'Reilly, and then released Adam Cole. Adam Cole rolled out the ring and he passed out. Referee lifted up his arm, dropped it. Karrion Kross retains the NXT championship, basically defeating the entire NXT main event scene. So yeah.
Paul, what did you think of this match?
I loved it. I thought it was a great match. 5 ways are hard to pull off, man. There's so much going on, and trying to get it so that you haven't got one guy kind of just standing around looking at another guy, and then 2 guys going at it while there's a guy asleep outside somewhere. It's really difficult to keep it going, and I thought they did it really, really well. I don't think there were I can't remember any botches really. I think Gargano was brilliant. I love Johnny Gargano. I think he's fantastic. But
one of the best.
The spot when Kross threw him against the ring apron, the edge of the ring apron, and then nearly killed him. And then, and then got him back in the ring and did like a sort of revolving F5 thing.
F5 release, F5 thing. Oh my God. Yeah, that was crazy.
So, I mean, they say that Kross can't, the accusation that Kross, can't wrestle, and he can't like the other 4 guys can. But if they book him strong, and they booked him strong in this, like, in the first bit when he takes one on at a time, destroys each one, then he goes through the door of the house.
Yeah,
I was waiting for something to happen with the house for the entire show. Because last time Io Shirai threw herself off it.
She jumped off the top, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the major thing that I remember from the last one. But I think this was the only thing they did with the house at any point in time.
Shotzi Blackheart threw Dakota Kai into the flowers in front.
Into the planter.
Into the plants, yeah. And apparently Dakota Kai is like a massive flower plant person. So that was like a little... It was a little joke, an inside joke for the ladies of NXT, yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match.
No, very good match. Right decision to keep keeping the belt. Carrion's going to keep it for a little while. One thing I've noticed, with all the cuts WWE have been making, Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish has not been cut, right? So do you feel when the time is right that we'll see the Undisputed Era return?
I think their best bet of success on the main roster is them being together.
For sure. And that's one thing.
Are they going main roster though? Are they ever going to go main roster? I don't think they will.
They need to, man. Like Adam Cole needs to be in the main roster.
Adam Cole does need to go. He's done everything.
I don't like what they did. I mean, Kyle O'Reilly's still a badass in my opinion. I love him, but I just feel like because he can.
He's not a top guy.
But he can be. Kyle O'Reilly.
I think he could be.
I have seen him. I have seen him there before, but I think his road to being a top guy goes through people like Adam Cole and stuff. So they're going to have to tell that story very well. He's going to have to eventually beat Adam Cole for the championship, which means Adam Cole's going to have another title run. In my opinion, this is the best way to do it. I don't think this cool cow thing that they've started with, it's not working right now.
No, it's not working. What the problem is, Undisputed Era was too good. They were so good. Like they were even better than. I followed their work back in New Japan and Ring of Honor.
They were better,
and they were better than that. They were so good that they need to be together going forward. Like I think Adam Cole has a great shot being a solo wrestler by himself, for sure. I'm just worried. I don't think Strong, Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly will achieve that under a WWE collective unless they're together. So
there's no way Strong and Fish will. They're not good enough on their own. No. Roddy Strong can't talk.
No.
Fish can, but I don't know. Yeah,
Fish is winding down his career slowly.
He's too injury prone as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I wanted to say, just about before we get into the final segment of this show.
Yeah.
With Karrion Kross retaining, like I say, he's taken out the majority of the main roster. The main event picture of NXT. For me personally, I want to see a match with him and Walter. I don't know how they're going to sort out the championship situation, but I think that's got to kind of be the next step. But I'm looking at Karrion Kross, I'm looking at Raquel Gonzalez as women's champion. And I don't know about you guys, but there's a part of me that feels like this isn't NXT. This isn't what at least NXT was early doors. And of course, the brand can evolve and stuff like that. But I've always felt like NXT champions of the women's and the men's could give you like a 4-star match at any given time in their sleep. And it's almost like Triple H, William Regal, whomsoever, has kind of mortgaged NXT on these different kind of wrestlers at the top of the card. And I'm not even sure if it's paying off. What do you guys think?
I do feel NXT is definitely lacking something. It's missing something. In my personal opinion, it hasn't really been the same. I mean, it was suffering even before the split up Undisputed Era for sure because of the COVID and stuff like that. But now that they're going up to bring back fans into stadiums and arenas, I think I think everybody does want to see Undisputed Era in the main roster, to be fair. So maybe this is not a good shout, but I do think they need to reunite Undisputed Era. I just think NXT hasn't been the same since they brought them up as well. Yeah. But then again, that being said, I want to see Undisputed Era in the main roster. So I'm a bit like, NXT it's missing something for sure. It's kind of become a bit formulaic, same kind of thing all the time. You expect this, and I think even with the color scheme, the lights, I think it needs to be a bit brighter. It's a bit dark. It's you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think maybe a change of arenas will help NXT.
Maybe.
It's always in the Full Sail. It's always, unless they go to like, and that's one thing NXT is missing as well. It's like takeovers in Brooklyn, takeovers in it's missing
high level shows.
Shows. So
bro, I watched this takeover, and by the end of it, I thought that was a good show, but this is definitely the worst takeover, if I can say worst. It's the worst takeover I've seen. Like,
what you think so?
100%.
So they said one of the, I can't remember which commentator said, but they said, no, I tell you what it was on. It was on another podcast. It was on Graves' podcast where they were saying that because Vic Joseph's on that as well.
Yeah.
And it's like every takeover is better. And I'd say every one of the last 3 or 4 have been gradually declining and going off,
agree.
and they're going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is the crowd thing. Part of it is there are no big rivalries really anymore. If you look at the biggest takeovers, you've got like Bailey, Sasha, Ciampa, Gargano, even Joe and Finn. Yeah. But I can't really name you one at the moment that's at that level. Nothing's at the level of Ciampa, Gargano as far as I'm concerned. That was top notch. I was a bit disappointed that we weren't getting because they were talking about Thatcher and Ciampa against grizzled young veterans. I thought we were getting that, but we're getting that NXT. Yeah. But I thought that would be a decent rivalry you could build up, because Zach Gibson's fantastic on the mic. Ciampa's brilliant at anything he does, but it's got stale because it's like the third brand now. So like you were saying before, Skillit, about being called up, that was the big thing.
Yeah.
You did your stuff on NXT, then you got called up, then it brought in a fresh new, and you got this.
There was a level of like climax and turnover. Literally.
And it's not there anymore because like it looks like people like Gargano, Ciampa, all of that roster are kind of here to stay. I don't think they're going anywhere. They botched the Ciampa Gargano call up completely when that happened.
Yeah.
And now I don't think it's ever going to happen.
And there's probably a level of inside the actual performers that I need to perform to get to the main roster. But now, because there is, you have the choice of staying where you are. If you're that good, then I don't need to, kind of give my all every single time.
I'm just going to get my charger. Keep talking.
Yeah. So it's a shame because I was a massive advocate for Raquel Gonzalez to become champion. 100%. I was screaming it for weeks, and now she's here. Obviously, we're enjoying it, but yes, we can see. Okay, she's not quite all there yet. She's very good, but she isn't. All there. And Karrion Kross again. I'm enjoying his work, but it's hard because he's not what we're used to in terms of the caliber of in-ring performer that we usually get from an NXT champion.
He's a main roster guy.
100%.
I mean, you just that entrance on a massive stage.
Imagine that at WrestleMania.
Oh, God, that would blow my mind. But and like you said, he's almost like too big to go into NXT.
At the beginning of the match, the main event, when he finished his whole entrance and just stood there for a second, and you just see all these little guys, Johnny Gargano, done in the corners, like half his size. There was a point he was kneeling, taking punches from Johnny Gargano, and he was still the same height as Gargano, kneeling.
But they do the stats, don't they, at the beginning now? They did like a match card kind of thing. And you look at the heights of these guys, and it's just like, but Kross he's not just like up there, he's out here as well. He's like just a massive guy. And you look at Johnny Gargano, who's really skinny and small, ripped but small, and you just I know you've got to suspend belief, that's the whole point of it, but it's like you have to take it to a whole nother level.
You struggle.
Whereas he's Kross is like a WW, he's your classic big man, isn't he? You put him in SmackDown or Raw, there's loads of people that he can go with. But,
I looked at those match cards. I looked at those match cards that you mentioned, and Cole was the tallest out of the other 4 at 6 foot, and Karrion Kross 6'4".
Yeah.
So
interesting. All right. Before we talk about our review, before we wrap up and we give our scores of Takeover, there was a last segment at the end of NXT Takeover. Pandemonium was all over the gaff at NXT. Uncontrollable. Wrestlers are fighting each other backstage all over. It's probably been happening throughout the whole weeks of NXT recently. And Regal has come to the conclusion that it's uncontrollable and he can't do anything for the product. And
I'm not letting you get away with that, bro. I've been waiting all day expecting the William Regal, I've been here for 7 years.
Go ahead.
And it's never been as bad as this. And I think it's time for a change.
So Regal says it's time for a change, and he walks off. It looks like he's going to quit NXT. Do we know what's going on? Do you think there's going to be a new general manager? And if there is, who is that general manager?
One thing, right? You missed one thing, Mekz. The tear, man. He had a tear rolling down his eye.
He did.
Oh, Regal's he's just the absolute Don.
Yeah, he's a G.
Last week when him and Triple H were reacting to whatever
to Poppy and thing,
and they're just in the background. And you just think they don't need to do anything, and they just steal they're just masters of it.
Yeah.
But if Joe doesn't come back as general, it was all over Twitter. I think I thought it was an actual screenshot. I thought I'd seen a spoiler, and I was sitting there at the end, him walking off, and I was expecting Joe to walk on, and it didn't happen. I was like, and then I went all over WWE to see if there was another thing on the network or something. And no, but
so the minute I saw this, I thought, okay, if he's leaving, my 3 candidates for GM maybe Joe, Daniel Bryan, or maybe Roderick Strong, just because of how Roderick Strong said he was leaving NXT. There was some kind of respect amongst those two, William Regal and Roderick Strong. And Roderick Strong, maybe, yes, he's not the most charismatic for this position, but it could be something to try and help maybe bring out that charisma. So I thought maybe Roderick Strong. Also, I thought maybe, he's spoken about maybe needed some help or something. Maybe AOP, because AOP been in the news in the last week saying that they're not done with wrestling. They were obviously NXT Tag Team Champions and stuff. Maybe he brings in AOP as henchmen or something. I don't know. On Tuesday last week, this is all facts, all reported and all facts. Samoa Joe was at the Performance Center. It wasn't known for what at that time. As of today, it's been reported that Samoa Joe has re-signed with NXT. When he was at the Performance Center last Tuesday, he was with Triple H. And Triple H has been the guy that's really orchestrated from the minute Triple H found that he was released. He said, I need to bring this guy in. Triple H apparently tried to do this for about 3 or 4 other guys that's been released since the beginning of this year. And they've kind of blocked all of the moves, whether it was the plans that they had for these guys or whatever. With Joe, he's apparently put his foot down and he's brought in Joe. Joe's signed and exclusively to NXT in a non-performative role. So he's not going to be an in-ring performer as of yet anyway.
So he's going to be he's the next general manager then.
So it's looking very likely that he's going to be Samoa Joe as the general manager. But
if it's Roderick Strong now, I'm going to hunt you down.
Roderick Strong is my initial guess after the match. But...
if that's it, I'm done with NXT, man. That would be the worst possible thing you could ever do to me. When,
it would be very underwhelming.
Joe up there, my God, to Roderick bloody Strong.
It would be very underwhelming. Even Brian would be a great choice.
That's hilarious. That is
underwhelming. Doesn't do it any justice at all.
That is hilarious. I think it has to be Joe.
I think he'll be a brilliant choice as well.
He'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
He'll be fantastic.
Is he cleared? Is he cleared to wrestle?
I think it's very touch and go with everything I've kind of seen and put together. It's one of them ones where, if you go anywhere else, we may clear you sort of thing. Yeah. But for them, it's still not 100%. But from what it seems with this last report from today, it's he's not cleared, but he's happy to take on these other roles as long as there is still a view for him to maybe get back in the ring. So... yeah, he looks like he's the number 1 contender right now to be the GM. I guess NXT Tuesday night, we may find out if that's the case.
Well, okay. That's interesting to know. Thank you for the scoop, Mekz. You're always killing it with, updating us with all this news. Paul, you've been a brilliant guest, and we want you on the show more and more. We'll invite you, especially with NXT. I know you're an avid NXT fan. So
don't get me talking about Raw, because that's... I literally turned it on this week, and I turned it on to and remember, I'm an NXT guy. I watch SmackDown, I watch a bit of AEW, but I'm mostly NXT. And I turn it on to see someone who was booked as strong as possible, who was a killer in the ring, talking to a doll and having a feud with a sodding doll. What's going on?
Yeah, bro.
I just turned it off. Lasted 10 seconds.
No, I'm with you there. But Paul, you are officially now a member of the Kickout, and when we do NXT shows, you're on board, my friend. before we sign off, what is your review? What's your rating of NXT Takeover in Your House 2 out of 5, my friend? What do you give it? How many stars?
Mekz, you go first.
I would say maybe about 3.5. I thought it was a good show. I felt like anything on the undercard could have like main evented an NXT TV show. Maybe wasn't quite NXT Takeover level, what we've come to know as Takeover match level. But the main event was really good. The main event was really fun. Those 4 guys in it were very good in the role they played, giving us the kind of indie style matches that we're kind of used to. Karrion Kross came in, done his monster thing very well as he does, looks great. The question is, where does he go from now in terms of challenges? But yeah, 3.5. I thought it was a pretty decent show. Unfortunately, though, still the weakest takeover I've ever seen.
Agreed.
Paul?
Yeah, I was gonna say 3, but I'll boost it because Joe's coming back, so it's good.
Don't quote me.
Because Mekz says so.
Joe.
Imagine the whole crowd chanting that, and then Roderick Strong walks out in a suit.
Our last image of Roderick Strong on NXT TV was in a suit, by the way.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
What a worker, though. One of the best workers.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
One of the best workers. I'm going to say, and this is interesting, right? Mekz, you just said you gave something 3.5 stars and said it was the worst NXT take. That just shows how great NXT is.
Literally.
I'm agree with 3.5. I don't think it was the worst takeover. I have a feeling somewhere I've seen a worse takeover than this one. I don't know which one though. It would have been within recent time. But I enjoyed this takeover. I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna agree with the 3.5 though. I don't think it's a 4. I don't think it's a 5. I'm agreeing with 3.5. And this is my homage to Mr. Perfect. Wait, hold it. Hold it. This is trying to balance it straight. This is terrible audio for those who are not watching.
There's people listening thinking, what the hell are you doing?
What's going on?
You ready? Perfect. Anyway, Paul, thank you so much for
no worries.
We'll get you back on the show for sure when something very interesting and exciting happens in NXT. You'll be the man to get called up straight away. Can people find you on Twitter, on Instagram? When people want to listen to you and your takes, how can they find you?
I am on Twitter as @Penfold1000, I believe. Because there are 999 other Penfolds knocking about, apparently. But you try being my name and finding anything that's below 1 million. Then, and Insta, it's the band, really. I'll plug my band. There you go. @Horatio_James. Skillit, it's Horatio. You've been butchering the name. Every time you've read out one of my... Horatio, and God knows what else.
Horatio.
Yeah, Horatio, like Nelson. But yeah, find them. Horatio_James. But yeah, come find us.
Brilliant. And Mekz, where can they find you, my friend?
WrestleManiac.uk on Instagram. Just type in WrestleManiac UK anywhere. I'll be there.
And you can find me at Skillit World, SKILLIT World. And follow us at The Kickout.
Yes.
And we've got some more shows coming up. We'll have to do another show on Thursday where we will have Oliver Carter and Leah James as special guests. So stay tuned for this Thursday of the Kickout review of Raw or whatever's happening, EW, AEW, or NXT, or whatever's going on this week. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. This has been the Kickout. We out.